Most of us believe we are walking through a world that exists out there. We think we see things as they are, hear sounds as they happen, and experience a reality that is independent of us. But science and ancient wisdom tell a very different story. Reality is not something you encounter. It is something you construct. Manifestation, a word often dismissed as mystical woo-woo, is actually a natural outcome of your brain's physiology. It is the process of your consciousness interpreting raw sensory data and turning it into a lived experience. Today, we're going to deconstruct the mechanics of thought manifestation. We're going to look at how a neutral signal from the outside world travels through your imagination, fuels your emotions, and eventually becomes the solid reality you live in. If you've ever wondered why two people can look at the exact same situation and see a tragedy or an opportunity, this is why. Every manifestation starts at the gates of perception. But here is the secret. An external object never actually enters your mind. When you look at a tree, or a mountain, or a bank account balance, your brain doesn't see those things. It receives light photons, sound waves, and tactile vibrations. These signals are neutral. They carry no inherent meaning, no emotion, and no judgment. The brain receives raw data, not reality. Think of your brain as a master translator sitting in a dark room. Your skull, receiving Morse code from the outside. The code isn't the message. The message is how you interpret that code. This is the first critical point of manifestation. Reality is not what happens. Reality is what is interpreted. If you want to change your reality, you have to realize that you aren't fighting the outside world. You are managing the translation process happening inside. Once those neutral sensory signals reach the brain, your imaginative faculty, known in many traditions as Khayal, becomes active. This is where the magic and the science happen. The mind begins to reconstruct those signals into images, scenes, and possibilities. At this stage, your mind stops being a passive receiver and becomes a creator. Neurologically speaking, your brain is actually quite bad at telling the difference between a seen object and a thought object. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine a lemon, the same regions of your visual cortex fire as if a real lemon were in front of you. This is why imagination is the birthplace of manifestation. What you imagine begins to acquire psychological reality. If you spend your time imagining failure, your brain prepares your nervous system for that failure as if it's already happening. You are literally pre-manifesting your future through your internal imagery. As an image in your imagination stabilizes, it evolves into Tasawwur, or thought. This is where the how-to of manifestation gets practical. Thought manifestation isn't a one-time event. It's a result of mental repetition. Every time you repeat a thought, you are thickening a neural pathway. The brain is an efficiency machine that loves what is familiar. When you repeat a thought, whether it's "I am capable" or "I am stuck," the brain accepts it as a safe truth. This is the core mechanism. Repetition creates belief, belief shapes perception, perception directs behavior, and behavior alters outcomes. The external world doesn't just change because you thought $1 million. It changes because your repeated thoughts change your brain's filter, which change your actions, which force the world to respond to a new pattern. Now, thoughts alone are like a car without fuel. They have the direction, but no power. This is where emotion, or Ihsas, comes in. Emotion is a decisive stage because it charges the thought with experiential force. Emotion is the signal to your brain and your heart that this thought is important. Fear manifests limitation because it tells the body to shrink and hide. Confidence manifests opportunity because it tells the body to expand and act. Gratitude manifests expansion because it signals to the nervous system that the good thing is already here. When you add feeling to a thought, you're no longer just thinking, you are experiencing. This experiential force aligns your nervous system with your intention. This is why feeling as if is the golden rule of manifestation. Without the feeling, it's just a daydream. With the feeling, it's a command. The final stage of this journey is awareness, Nazar or Mushahida. This is the conscious recognition of the experience. At this level, you aren't just the one thinking the thought, you're the one knowing the thought. This is the stage of mastery. Most people live in a loop of unconscious manifestation. They react to their environment, which creates a thought, which creates a feeling, which creates a reality they don't want. But with conscious awareness, you gain the power of selection. You can observe a negative thought without reacting to it. You can redirect your imagination when it starts building a worst-case scenario. You can select the frequency you want to live on. This is where you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your perception. So, why does the world seem to move when we change our minds? Is it magic? Not exactly. It's neuro-conscious mechanics. Your brain has a system called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. It's a filter. At any given moment, there are millions of bits of data surrounding you. If you perceive them all, you'd go insane. So, your RAS filters out what isn't important. It knows what is important based on your dominant thoughts and beliefs. If you believe the world is full of opportunities, your RAS starts highlighting opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible to you. Reality doesn't change. Your ability to see and interact with specific parts of reality changes. As the ancient wisdom says, the world you see is shaped by the mind that sees it. This has massive implications for therapy and healing. If you're stuck in a loop of anxiety or chronic stress, you are essentially manifesting a state of disease. But you can interrupt that loop. You can interrupt negative mental patterns by becoming the observer. You can replace fear-based imagery with coherent, peaceful scenes in your imagination. You can restore balance by consciously choosing a higher emotion, like gratitude, to signal safety to your nervous system. Healing begins when thought becomes conscious. The truth is simple but profound. Thought does not follow reality. Reality follows thought. From the moment sensory data hits your brain to the moment you consciously observe your life, you are in a constant state of creation. Manifestation isn't about forcing the world to give you what you want. It's about understanding the architecture of your own perception. When you change how you see, reality changes what it shows. Would you like me to create a set of optimized SEO tags and a description for this video?